Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Lowell Stitches. Today we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful bubu gown. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, like, share and comment. Let's get right into it. So what we'll need for this particular style is our ashoki and our Ankara fabric. So I'm just going to be using just one how do I put it? Just one of the ashoki and the Ankara fabric, that's all. So I've already folded my fabric. So we have the front and the back already. I've divided it. So I had to join it at the bottom because the length was not enough. The length of Ankara is 45, so I had to join it because of the pattern of the Ankara. So unfold everything I have, that's for the front, is 20 inches. So when you open it, that's going to be 40 inches. So I'm not going to be cutting it. That's the measurement I need. So what we're going to start with now is to measure out our neckline. So for this, I don't want the neckline to be too wide. I just want to pin it properly so that the neckline will not move. So I don't want the neckline to be too wide. I'm going to be making use of 3.5 inches. If you're cutting for someone who has a broader shoulder or something like that, you can make use of 4. But I'm going to be making use of 3.5 inches by 1.2 inches. So the depth is 1.2 inches. So I'm just going to connect it with my chalk. After connecting it, the next thing we're going to do is to get our shoulder slant. So we all know that our shoulder is not straight, so we're just going to give it a little slant. So at the edge there, I'm just going to measure 1 inches and I'm going to connect from the neckline down to the 1 inches I came down by. So you can use a ruler if you're not comfortable with using your free hand. Now the next thing we're going to do is to measure the length of our sleeve. So for this, I'm going to be measuring 11 inches for the length of my sleeve. So I'm just going to use my chalk to mark that down. So right on this line, I'm going to be measuring my hip measurement. So for bubu, you have to use the biggest measurement on your body. For me, it is my hip. So I'm going to be measuring my hip measurements divided by 4. That's 9 is 39, 9.8 thereabouts. Then I just want to check this shoulder measurement again. I'm going to make it 11.5. So now I'm going to be measuring my hip measurements. That's 39 divided by 4. And I'm going to be adding extra 5 inches allowance. Extra 4 inches allowance, sorry. So I'll be using 1 inches for sewing and then 3 inches will be for ease. So you can also do 3 inches allowance or 3.5 inches allowance or 5. But I think the maximum should be 5, please. If not, it will be too big. So I'm just going to connect it like this and then I'm going to measure what I have at the top. I'm just going to measure it all through down to the bottom. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut it out. I'm going to cut out the neckline and everything we've marked out so far. So after cutting, we're just going to separate the back from the front because the front neckline is different from the back. It's a square neckline. So that is what we're going to focus on now. I'm just going to measure the neckline I want now. So we're going to start with the depth. The depth I measured was 5.5 inches, but I later cut it down by half inches to make it 6 inches. So I'm just going to measure it again and connect it. And the width still remains 3.5 inches. You don't want your neckline to be too wide, trust me. And the reason why I used 6 inches for the depth was because I was going to be using a bias to turn it, so I just wanted it to come down a bit. So after connecting, I'm just going to cut out the neckline for the front. So this is it. After cutting, we're going to open it up and we're going to arrange our ashoki on it. So that's what we're going to be doing next. Before the ashoki, we need to turn the neckline with our bias. You can choose to use the cloth to turn it inside, but I'm going to be using my bias to turn both the front and the back together. After we're done turning the neckline, the next thing we're going to do is to place our ashoki on it. So this is how the ashoki will come. So we'll have to divide it into two because obviously it's too wide. So when we fold it into two, it is 3 inches, and 3 inches is still too wide for it. I want it to be 2.5 inches. So that means we'll need to cut it. We'll measure 2.5 inches for it. So I'm going to show you how you're going to properly cut your ashoke without it fraying. So this is it, guys. I have folded it. I've measured 2.5 inches. I placed my scissors on a very hot, on gas, on cylinder, whatever we call it. I placed it on it, and when it is very hot, I'm using it to cut it. And the reason why I did this is, as you're cutting it, the hot scissors is going to be burning the tip of the ashoke, so it won't frill all over the place. I hope you understand. So if you're using a stove, um a gas cylinder, whatever you're using, just make sure your scissors is hot. And I also advise that you dedicate a special scissors for this, because it's going to be different when you're using it to cut normal fabric. So this is it. The edge is already burnt, so this is how we're going to be cutting it. So I'm just going to cut the what I need, the length I need. So I've turned it with a bias, the neckline. So the ashoke, for the one that is going to be standing vertically, that's the longest one that is going to be standing straight, I measured 31 inches. Do you get? So then we have another one that is going to be standing horizontally, this one. So I measured from this part, this end here, down to the end of the sleeve. I hope you get it. It's around 25 inches. So you're just going to measure what you need from that place to there before you cut it. And for the one that is going to be standing, as I said, I measured 31 inches. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to place this one first, and then we're going to place this straight one on top of it. So this is just how we're going to place it. Very easy. You're just going to follow the shape of your neckline, which is square. So that's how we're going to do it. So of course, when you're sewing, you can pin this down before you sew, just to secure everything well. So when you're sewing, you're going to be sewing the one under first, then you sew the one on top. So place the right side of the ashoke like this, then you're going to be sewing the one under first. You sew it straight like this. I almost sewed the wrong side. Then you're going to place it on top like this, and you sew it. And of course, you're not going to be sewing everything down to the end. I'm going to be measuring. For me, I'm going to be making use of my bust point, which is 10. So just use the measurement of your client or your bust point. So that's where my sewing is going to stop, at 10 inches. So we're going to repeat the same thing too for the other side. So we're going to be sewing both left and right to secure it properly. So I'm just going to sew it and show you how it looks. So guys, I am done sewing it with my machine. You see how I sewed everything down and I stopped at 10 inches. So I'm just going to place the back. I'm going to place the back on it, and we're going to be joining it by the shoulder. We are going to be joining it by the shoulder. We're going to be doing the same thing for the other side. And then the next thing we're going to do is to attach our ashoke to it. So this is what we have left. I'm going to be dividing it into two. And after joining it by the shoulder, I'm going to be sewing it round the edges. So I'm going to do this and show you how it looks. I have joined it by the shoulder, and I'm also going to overlock it. And I've also attached the ashoke to the sleeve, and I also top stitch it to secure it more. After doing that, we're going to be joining it by the side, by the allowance we gave, which is 1 inches. Whatever allowance you gave, you're going to join it like that down to the bottom. So for bubu like this, you shouldn't sew everything completely. At the bottom, you should leave an opening for ease when the person is walking. So for this, I'm going to be leaving about 10 inches. That's where my sewing is going to stop. And after sewing, as usual, we're going to be folding the edges by the allowance we left. And that's it, guys. Very easy to make.